Episode 8. The night sky turned deep navy, and the rustling leaves swaying in the wind were the only sound breaking the silence at the edge of the village. Jinwoo sat quietly at the old pavilion, holding the handwritten letter yeonhee had left behind. He now stared ahead with firm eyes, knowing yeonhee's true intentions. I have to uncover the truth. I can't let it end like this. He began searching for the name mentioned in her letter, Lee Sang-hoon. Villagers were hesitant until an elderly woman finally spoke. That name. He once worked in the Korean intelligence agency, had a villa up the hill. Quiet, scary man. Long ago, Jinwoo followed the trail up to the forgotten villa, overgrown with weeds. As he stood before the decaying structure, memories flickered, vague recollections of his father, secretly meeting a man at this very place. Suddenly, footsteps behind him. A middle-aged man with sharp eyes. He spoke first. You're Kim Jinwoo, right? It's been a long time. Your father and I, we fought the same war, just on different sides. He was Lee Sang-hoon. Jinwoo, holding back rage, asked, Why? Why did you destroy my family? Did you order it? Lee sighed, nodding. I only followed orders, but now I understand what that meant for your family. Tears welled in his eyes. He sat beside Jinwoo and began recounting his espionage. During the Cold War, betrayals, fading loyalties, then a truth emerged. Your father wasn't a traitor. He planned to expose the corruption at the top, to reveal everything. Jinwoo froze. His father had carried the burden of justice. That changed everything. Days later, following yeonhee's final clue, Jinwoo traveled to Seoul. There, inside an abandoned newspaper archive, he found draft articles and notes left by his father, revealing plans to expose the truth. With renewed purpose, Jinwoo made his choice. He would tell their story. For yeonhee, for his father, and for justice. Episode 9. Seoul had changed. It was no longer the gray dull city Jinwoo remembered. Towering buildings, neon signs, and bustling crowds surrounded him as he walked with quiet resolve. Though his heart was a storm of grief and anger, his steps were steady, driven by his promise to yeonhee, to his father, and to himself to reveal the truth. Following yeonhee's final clue, Jinwoo revisited the underground archive of the now-defunct Haedong Daily. The air was thick with dust and countless boxes filled the narrow space. One box, labeled 1983 surveillance records, caught his attention. Inside were faded photographs, handwritten notes, and typewritten article drafts. One line stood out. Power always fears the truth. Jinwoo closed his eyes as he read it. It was the opening line of his father's final, unpublished article. Beneath it in neat handwriting. Jinwoo, if you ever find this, never forget justice. He clenched his fists. Father, I will expose everything. He gathered the documents and went to find Young Chul-ho, a former journalist from Haedong Daily. Older now and cautious, Young's expression changed the moment. He saw the notes and photos. Your father, he fought to the end. We were all too afraid back then. I've lived with that regret ever since. Young decided to help. He called in old favors and introduced Jinwoo to a group of young, fearless reporters. Together, they launched the Hourglass Project, a modern media initiative to share Jinwoo's story and his father's truth. But shadows stirred. Former agents of the intelligence service, still lurking in society's corners, sensed a threat. Anonymous calls, signs of surveillance, and ominous messages began creeping into Jinwoo's daily life. Min Kyung, yeonhee's longtime friend, and now an aide to a lawmaker, sought out Jinwoo. Her voice was tense. Jinwoo, if these articles are published, people will get hurt. What yeonhee left behind isn't just information, it's a key that could change lives. Please be careful. Jinwoo hesitated, then nodded slowly. I know, but if I stop now, everything my father and yeonhee believed in it would mean nothing. Finally, the day arrived. The first article from the Hourglass Project went live. Sitting before his computer, Jinwoo looked at a photo of yeonhee and whispered, Our time has started moving again. Thank you, yeonhee. The story spread rapidly. Comments, shares, and voices demanding answers flooded the internet. And then his phone buzzed. A single message. You've gone too far. There won't be another warning. The Sandglass, Part 10, The Counterattack of Fate. In the heart of Seoul, the gray cityscape rushed past like a blur. Jinwoo, now a full-fledged lawyer, was preparing for the fiercest trial of his life. This was not merely a legal case. It was a war to reclaim justice and confront the shadows of his past. The case involved the corruption and crimes of Chairman Hwang's family, the very name linked to his father's tragic death. Each night, Jinwoo pored over documents in his dimly lit office. Like like a soldier preparing for battle. By his side was yeonhee, unwavering in her support. As he stared into her determined eyes, he whispered softly, "I must win this fight. Only then will everything we've endured make sense." Yeonhee's gaze grew resolute. That afternoon, Jinwoo stood in court. The boyish face from years ago had matured now, composed and sharp. As he rose to speak, the courtroom turned silent with tension. "Your Honor, the defendant, Chairman Hwang, has deceived the public for decades through the misuse of power. This trial is not about personal revenge. It is a reflection of a deeply rotting system." A hush fell over the courtroom. It was as though Jinwoo had voiced the unspeakable truths everyone else was too afraid to confront. The prosecution attempted to retaliate, but Jinwoo met them with precision. He presented every piece of evidence. He had painstakingly gathered whistleblower recordings, financial transaction documents detailing money laundering, and even the long-buried police reports surrounding his father's death. Then came the turning point. Jinwoo looked directly at Chairman Hwang and declared, "You killed my father. Maybe not with your hands, but with your greed. You destroyed his life." For the first time, Chairman Hwang's composure cracked. He lowered his head. The judge's gavel echoed. The court sentences Hwang Jae-bok to 30 years in prison. Outside the courtroom, Jinwoo whispered to yeonhee, "It's over." But it wasn't. As he exited the courthouse, Jinwoo was ambushed. Masked men cornered him in a dark alley. He fought, but was outnumbered. His final glimpse before losing consciousness was of yeonhee, running toward him, screaming his name. He woke up in a hospital bed, weak but alive. With a faint smile, he said, "It's okay. It's not over yet." Yeonhee held his hand, eyes wet with tears. Months later, Jinwoo recovered. He quietly retired from law and moved to a seaside town with yeonhee, opening a small bookshop. Peace returned to their lives. One day, a voice from an old radio spoke. "Ada Tumonomon." The exposure of Chairman Hwang's crimes sent shockwaves through Korea, igniting a new era for justice and reform. Jinwoo smiled. Jinwoo walks along the beach with yeonhee and In-hyuk. The sunset bathed the sky in red. "I finally feel at ease," Jinwoo said. Yeonhee gently took his hand. This is just the beginning." He looked at her and nodded. The Sandglass, Part 11, Shadows That Don't Fade. Jinwoo was slowly adapting to the peaceful life in the seaside town. But in his dreams, memories of dark alleys in Seoul and the metallic scent of blood returned. Even in the quiet air of the bookshop, the shadow followed him. One day, a stranger opened the door to the shop. A man in a worn trench coat and a hat pulled low. Jinwoo immediately sensed he wasn't just a customer. "Mr. Jinwoo, we need to talk again." The truth from that day isn't over. He introduced himself as Prosecutor Kang. According to him, after the trial, Jinwoo fought. Layers of cover-ups and corruption remained deep within the prosecution. Chairman Hwang was only a part of the system. The core still breathes. Jinwoo's eyes trembled. The battle he thought he had ended was just beginning. After several sleepless nights, Jinwoo picked up his pen. Not for the courtroom, but to record the truth through writing. Still, the urge to return grew stronger. "Yeonhee, I have unfinished business." She nodded without hesitation. "Then I'll go with you. I won't let you go alone." Together, they drove back to Seoul, a journey to confront the past once more. Please subscribe and like.